Hi everybody, I'm Alan.
And I'm Jenny.
Welcome to Mysterious Writings YouTube channel.
In this episode, we're going to cover the 2017 6 Questions with Forrest Fenn from Mysterious Writings.
Let's get to them.
Let's. Question 1. Even today, after more than 6 years of people searching, and after all the news coverage, articles, and stories written about your secreted treasure, some people are just learning about the thrill of the chase treasure hunt and getting involved. It continues to inspire. Do you have any advice for these new people? How should they begin the search 6 years after so many others? Do you feel they are at any disadvantage?
No. Fresh eyes and new thinking might provoke a winning idea. I would advise new searchers to look for the clues in my poem and try to marry them to a place on a map. It seems like the longer one thinks about the search, the more they complicate the problem.
Question 2. Many people wonder about the autobiography sealed in the treasure chest. Although tiny in size, it is sure to be an immense pleasure to read. Will there be any surprises for the reader?
About 1990 or so, I learned that my daughters didn't know who Clark Gable was. I was shocked, and that's when I decided to record my family history. I wanted them to know as much as I could remember about my life and the events that largely shaped who I am today, and them and theirs in turn. I didn't have a computer, so for several years I jotted remembrances in pencil on a yellow pad, starting with an incident that happened when I was about 1. Yes, I remember it vividly. I don't think my story would be interesting to the average reader.
Also, since talking about books, how is your book called Closet Stories of Tales coming along? The title suggests information for the book would be difficult to discover. How did you come by the information? Can you share something interesting now?
I have largely retired from book writing, although I have 3 more on my computer all over half finished. But my calendar is running out of pages, and I am not distressed by realizing no shelf will hold any of those books. The one I like best is Closet Stories of Taos. It's a gossip book about the artists and characters who lived in that little town at the turn of the 20th century. Dobelly Price, Mace McHorse, Long John Donne, Teresa Ferguson, Arthur Manby, and the artist. During my gallery days, I purchased the estates of several LA Taos artists and acquired the personal papers of a few more. Therein I learned the juicy flavors that make the book so interesting. I tell the story about Long John Donne. Very few people know that wasn't his real name. Everyone loved him, although he killed 2 men in Texas. He was on trial for cattle rustling, but jumped through a window and on the first horse he saw, and he picked up the rope that was lying on the ground and made his escape through a thunderstorm of bullets and bad language. He said he was miles down the road before he realized there was a horse tied to the rope he picked up.
Question 3. I'm wondering, if you could create a day, what would it be filled with? Is there something you wanted to explore but the opportunity never presented itself to fully take hold of? And then I'm wondering if you would be willing to share what a day in your life is like now. Do you wish it to be different in any way, or do you feel the contentment of a life being well lived?
Jenny, I must laugh at that question. My answer begs you to give me 40 more years of life to see what happens. My 86 years of experiences have filled my mind with many things I would like to do. There is so much to be learned by failing, and I may be the world's leading authority on that subject. My days now are filled with tending to domestic chores, an occasional lunch with friends, and compensating.
Question 4. I've heard our adorable little girl from India decided to start writing A Little Kid from Penasco. They are fully enjoying and excitedly exploring areas they feel your treasure poem could lead to. They've researched via maps, history books, and the internet. However, since she has been told she can't get closer than 2 clues to the treasure, she's planning a trip to not only personally meet the little kid from Penasco, but to search the Rockies for your treasure. How do you imagine their search will go? Can she now find the treasure?
Some of those kids from Penasco are very bright. The treasure will be found by someone who followed the clues to the location. To me, that's the only plausible recipe.
Question 5. The following quote inspires me to do more and to realize each moment of the day is an investment into what we leave behind. The goal isn't to live forever, but to create something that will. You're living a grand life and have created things which will live on when gone. Besides the chase, which I know fills hearts around the world, what are some other investments made in your life which offer warm smiles to you now, knowing they were worthwhile and will live on too?
Thanks for that, Jenny. My family has been my biggest investment and has brought the most important rewards. My memory is filled with little pleasures that are renewed every time I think of them. I remember when my 2 daughters were about 12 and 13. They were doing little irritating things that kids that age do. One was staying up too late, and another was talking on the phone too much. Our home phone was also our business phone, and we had only one line. So one day I called them together for a meeting. I told them that I was proud of the way they were conducting themselves. I said, because you are so responsible, your mother and I have decided to let you make all the decisions related to your personal life. But if we discover that you can't handle those responsibilities, we will continue making decisions for you. It was so funny because they seemed to grow up overnight. They stopped doing most of the things that were irritating to me. I guess all families have similar stories. Plus, some learned people will diss me for saying this, but I believe not having much of an education gave me an advantage in some important ways. Not knowing what I was doing forced me to learn fast and not to test the depth of the water with both feet. A few very important breaks luckily came to me accidentally. The military taught me discipline, gave me purpose, and demanded a good work code. Being a fighter pilot taught me to think fast and to depend on myself because of most of the time there was no one else around. Owning a retail business taught me to hire people who were smarter than I was and then sit down and leave them alone. My assets are not unique to me, but I was savvy enough to take advantage of what I had. Imagination and guts. An awesome twosome. I had the ability to make important decisions right now and the wisdom to change them just as fast if necessary. And I was willing to hustle hard. One of my rules was, show me a man who owns a business and works an 8-hour day and I'll show you a failure.
And question number 6. After each year's questions, I begin to think, oh, maybe I should have asked that one instead. Or, I wonder if you would have rather answered something else. So my last question now is to ask, is there a question you would like me to ask? And then will you answer it? I'm always just so honored to share your words, and I don't want to limit any you might want to share with everyone.
Jenny, you are a dichotomy in its greatest moment, and an aberration also. Your mind is always seeking and planning alternatives. Reminds me of the reporter who asked, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the show? I have studied your website and see how you are so in control. I have spent hours with you and your husband, and I've noticed how well you use understatement to your advantage. I think you're baiting me with your question, but I will answer it anyway. I see a rare opportunity, so I must give that question a lot of thought. Okay. Forrest, you seem to have a lot of confidence and believe you can do anything. Do you think you could have been a good artist? Answer, no. So there you have the 6 questions from 2017.
Subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and as always, we'll see you next time.
Yeah, see you next time, and thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.